stuff. Just out of curiosity, who from the email brought some things that are already ready to from that list that I said to bring? If not, that's fine. A lot of it we can do. I can show you. Okay, cool. All right, well, let's jump in then. Ultimately, I need everyone to scan that up there. That right there is access to your cheat sheet. It's going to give you all of the prompts that we're using today. It's going to give you the outlines for you to do this later if you want. And we'll send this out in the email as well, this link. But this right here has, it's ultimately, and I'll show it on my computer as well, but this is the Notion page that I built to store all this information for you to kind of go through and do that. So, okay, perfect. I'm going to get out of this and share my screen now and kind of go from there. So what you should be looking at is this right here, where it has ultimately the 3 toggles. One's for the gratitude close, one's for appointment review, and the other one's for script practice. Okay, on here, this drop down is what opens it up so that you have everything. I'm going to, first of all, in this one, I'm going to do it and show you what we're doing, and then give you a little bit of time to play and do it individually. Okay, this first one, we created 2 different ones. The concept of this first one you can see is it's a different way to do a memorable thank you, right? Here at Keller Williams, of course, we talk a lot about handwritten notes and the power of handwritten notes, right? In this digital age, how else can we make sure that we're showcasing and helping people in a way that shows them some originality and some extra effort, right? Using AI in this is really the purpose to help us go about and have a different way. And of course, this way that I'm showing you might not be the way that fits what you want to do. I want you to use all of these examples as examples for you to get more creative on how can you use AI to help you, A, increase what you're doing on that 1 to 10 scale up a number or 2, right? Or how can you, really that's it, I guess, in most ways, because it's how do we improve that, and then a lot of times that is speed. A lot of that is, okay, making it so the experience is that much better. So what this one right here, we're going to go through it, is really sending a memorable thank you that is personalized for after appointment, ideally closing. I'm actually going to fix that right now because I like closing, is what these are built for. So showing professionalism and warmth. So really going into it. So this first one right here, this prompt, 7 days, 30 days, the day after. I mean, honestly, it's really up to you. But this prompt is a fun one that we created to say, hey, great, how can you create some form of comic strip that showcases everything that we're doing? So I'm going to hit copy. This is nice and easy. I made this simple in this way. On this one, I would prefer that you're using the paid version of ChatGPT or Midjourney, and there's a few others that you can do. But those are the 2 biggest ones that for this prompt is going to work best. So I'm going to go over into my ChatGPT. And I'm going to put the prompt in there. And this one, I instructed it to give you steps. So I'm going to just even hit enter. And it's now going to think, right? And then I'm going to go into Notion. And I have, for team meeting, all of these already prepped. So here's the one we're going to use. Let's see what it tells me first. Okay, first one is a photo of my client. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to grab this wonderful guy who's my client. And I'm going to copy it. Copy image. And I'm going to put it in here. Done. Okay, now it's going to ask me for the next one. The next one that I had on here was asking for me. Okay, I'm going to now go in and I have that. Copy image. You can go to so many spots and just do, right? You can go into Facebook if you had to find it. If you had a photo of them with the key at closing, you can use that, right? How do you use this in these ways? So I'm going to now put me in here. Okay. And I'm also going to do a photo of the house. Okay, this house. Congrats, Scott. You sold your listing. Yeah, I know. It was the one that you're doing an open house on, so too bad. Okay, and I put that in. I've already instructed it. I did all of that, that 20%, that work up front to create what I want it to look like. And now it's going to go through the process and generate it based on what I did. This one is very much built for, okay, a comic strip. So 3 different slides, having it be certain things. And it's fun because it's like, okay, how often are you giving something, and even over text, right, that can then be in this fashion to say, hey, this is what this is. And putting that extra effort, and I do air quotes right there because it is extra effort, but you're utilizing the tools that we have nowadays to showcase and go above and beyond in a different way. I'm not an artist to the point that I could draw a comic strip or draw something that would stand out. I know a lot of the different, Rebecca does really awesome, and I'm shouting you out. Yep. Rebecca does a really awesome job with her handwritten notes, and she does do some little drawings of, and then sends those off, right? I personally couldn't. So this right here is a great way to go that extra mile and say, hey, this, and that. And I still now have to throw in my text message after. Hey, was thinking about you. Congratulations on closing. This is taking a second. There's a lot of us. So I would then go in here and I would say, all right, I'm going to text Rollin, right? And I would then generate whatever that is to say, hey, what does that look like, right? Everyone, are you guys, who's playing with it already on their computer? I see some of you. Okay. Some of yours are already getting closer than mine is this time. A lot of times it doesn't take too long because you'll see it like go through the phases of the nice thing is I usually leave this on one screen and I go work on something else, right? I don't have to sit here and look at this the whole time it's trying to decide what to do. But it's going to go through and do that overlay of, okay, what does this look like? How do we use it? Ha, look at that. There we go. Right? So this is just an idea. I'm not saying this is what you have to do. This is like the one thing that's going to change your business. What I'm doing is saying, how can you think about AI in a way that you can continue to add extra value, be in relationship with the people that you want to be in relationship with, and do that using AI. So in this one, of course, you see it got rolling really well, right? It got even me with my almost KW Utah hat, right? And then this one did that. I would then take a screenshot of that. I would send it over and I would say something along the lines of, hey, can you believe that it's been 7 days since you got the key to your house? Like, how's everything going? Is there anything I can do to help? Right? Going through that process, delivering that. Of course, now Rollin has a few options with this where he can go, well, this, and that, or whatever, right? And then I can, after the conversation, I could, of course, use it for another opportunity to say, hey, it was really awesome working with you. Who else like you should I be reaching out to that might be thinking on buying or selling in the next little bit? Right? Using these tools to then do the same thing that we've been taught to do. None of this is like anything that's crazy. Like all the time we talk about talking to your clients and celebrating with them. So it's what is that next thing that we can do? Who's has some already generated? It's always fun to see while you're working on them. You got one already? Nice. That looks awesome. It has a baby in the picture.
It's exactly what I asked it to do. It was great. So here's the picture of the guy and his wife and kid.
Yep, wife and kid. Yep.
And then there's me on a bus with a stupid hat on.
Yep.
And then the house, and it did exactly what I told it, and it
looks great.
Just the same.
Yeah, that's awesome. So, and that's the whole purpose of this. It's not saying, hey, right? It's what can we do with this? So here's the next one. We're going to go back to that shareable one that you guys already are on. And this second one's another fun one. I like this second one in a lot of ways because if I now go through and say, hey, great, I'm going to do the next one. And it has similar instructions, but this is a single frame. The reason I like this one is this is going to be a pretty easy one for your clients also if they want to put on social. Of course, I would, if you were going to put something up on social, then you probably should make sure that they're happy with that, right? However you want to work with that. But I'm going to go through. So now I have the next people. All right, so the next client in this one, back to my team info, is Vance. Congrats. Yeah. Okay, so there we go. Now Vance is in there. Okay, it's going to go get the next part. I'm going to go get the next one anyways. All right, way to go, Taylor, on closing him. You were the agent. It is. That's your Harry Potter photo, so. I know, right? It's so great. Okay, great. Here is you as the agent. Oh. Oh, so great. Okay, and then this house, is that Nate, is that your listing? Is that Joe's listing? Your listing, sweet. All I typed in was Shaw and pulled it up. So, oh yeah. I can't remember this one. So I just grabbed it off the MLS because it was one of our listings and I was like, great. But here's the thing, right? Same process. This one was simple because it was, and ultimately it took, is that the one? It's Joe's. Okay, cool. So it's great. This is a listing that's still active and I'm showing it in this way. The whole cool part with this is it's fun to represent. Oh, I wasn't able to do it this time. Okay, so I just ran into Dolly, decided to not work for a second. The one, and I have it somewhere because I texted it to you, Vance, right? So if I go to Vance really quick.
Yeah, so on that, you can change the style and say, I like this image, turn it into the style of, in this case, Charlie Brown.
Yeah, so that was one that we did with, Roland edited his after we were playing with it. Okay, here's the one that we did, right? Okay, so that's kind of fun. It was funny because I showed some people in the office and they got the people right? It did enough of a likeness, except for Vance is shorter.
Yeah.
Sorry, Vance. Right? But the whole purpose of this is, again, it's a tool for you to use and have those things going through. And of course, right, just like any online tool, it doesn't always work perfectly, like during a team meeting when you click enter and it says no. So, but I wanted to show that one. Questions on that? I know a lot of you are already working on some and playing with it. Any other really good ones? And you guys can show each other a lot later too. Kind of playing with them. I see a lot of different ones, so that's great. So, any questions on that before I go to the next one? That one's pretty simple, but I wanted to give you another way that you can think of, hey, how do I use AI? Okay, sweet. So let's go to then this next one of an appointment review. Okay, some of you have been asking me the difference between ChatGPT or Claude. Oh, the space happened. See, editing. All right, ChatGPT and Claude. So I kind of wanted to show, because I use both of them for different reasons, right? And I wanted to show what this looked like in two different spots so you can see and compare. I use ChatGPT personally for a lot of strategic things, a lot of the image creations and that. I use Claude for a lot more if I'm doing stuff with writing and the written word, and I want it to sound more human instead of ChatGPT, right? Or if I'm trying to do something with graphs, Claude does a really good job demonstrating graphs. So if you're like one of the things that I don't have on today, but if you were wanting to do and throw in the whole information to show and about an investment property, like it will do a pretty good job with that, right? ChatGPT will as well, but there's certain things that each are built with a better background of doing. So I wanted to show what the difference is and just show you. Not say I did this for a long time with ChatGPT and it worked great. So you don't have to go buy all the tools. It's what ones do you want to use, and then always making sure you're not doing too many because if you don't use them, then that's too much, right? Okay, so here's this one. So this one right here is for a buyer or seller transcript. It's just for any appointment. You go in, you can either do a practice transcript, so it can be your own, like, hey, like I saw a whole bunch of people upstairs today doing buyer appointments. If you recorded that and then turned it into a transcript, you could throw it into here and show what that comes up with. I always joke that a client, expects you to remember, like, doesn't expect you to remember everything, but they expect you to forget nothing. Right? So this is one way to help elevate that game. So I'm going to show you what this looks like. Did anyone here by chance bring a transcript to play with? And this is one that I knew that if you didn't, that was fine. And I would show it. Okay, not a few of you. So you can use this, but I wanted to give you this so you can then say, hey, my next listing appointment, next buyer appointment, how do I do this? The one I'm showing you to record, so I'm going to go into Claude. We'll start with ChatGPT, and I'll actually run them both side by side. Okay, so I'm going to have them both in there. So ultimately, I'm using the same prompt for each, right? What I have is I have a transcript. This transcript was actually one that I did through Google Meet because it was not a person who was in front of me. So if they're in front of me, I usually pull out my phone and use Otter. You have a whole bunch of note things on Android and iPhone that would work. There's a bunch of tools out there that you can do this. This one was I was on Google Meet and I clicked record and told them, hey, and kind of went through the process. So I'm going to go in and I'm going to now tell it to go. And I'm going to go back to ChatGPT and I'm going to put in the transcript. I'm going to tell it to go. Just so you can see the difference. It's going to now go through and read all of my dialogue with them. On this one, I do have it where it asks me a few clarifying questions. ChatGPT decided to skip that, which is fine. Right? I can always go in and say, hey, this part was important. Make sure that's added in there. Right? Again, the 20-60-20 principle, you prompt it really well. You now let it work. And then you have to go back in and make it yours. Right? So this one, just so you can see, this one said draft. All right. Dallin, it was great meeting with you. St. George home. You're considering whether to sell your house, this, and that. Your preference. And honestly, this one was a year ago. So I don't even remember like all of the details. So it's kind of fun to see like from the transcript and how exact it is, right? Your preference is a townhouse, long-term, add another rental. It totally botched on some spelling stuff, right? Review financials. Once pre-approval is complete, I'm excited for this process. Look for the next steps. Then it asks me the clarifying questions. So now I can go in and say, okay, emphasize renting first or feel free, da, da, da. Okay, I can click 1, and I can now type it in. Of course, buying soon, right, if right. If right is always better, whatever. Number 2. Okay, it asks me a question. Do you want to highlight their flexibility and timing? Sure. All right, great. It's now going to go in and re-edit it based on what I told it to then go through that. Again, I'm not going to just copy and paste this and send. I'm going to copy, paste, review, tweak it a hair. Honestly, I don't really a whole lot if it fits things right. But I'm going to go through and say, oh, a few things that are missed. I'm going to add his wife's name at the top or whatever because she was in the meeting, right? Those kind of things, and I'm going to send it. Now let me show you Claude. So it's going to be very similar. So it was great meeting with you today and learning about this, keeping your current condo, moving to this for flexibility, explore financing options, instead of doing 20% down, pre-approval. Don's recent raise. I don't even know who that. So it's been a while. So I'm guessing it was Dallin's. So I'd have to go change that, right? Okay, next steps, you, me, us. You can see it did it a little differently. Both of them are great. That's where I'm like, so I'm not saying you need one over the other, but I like to always look at this because they do interact differently with their thought process and how they work. So this one said, did I capture correctly that keeping the condo as a rental is your preferred option? Notice that, right? 2, for your St. George purchase timeline, are you thinking this, right? So then I can go through, feed it more data, have it populate it, and again, copy, put it in there, edit it as much as needed for that next step. Questions on that one, since I know that one's a little harder to play with.
My ChatGPT hates me. Look at what it made me look like. I did not look like that.
That's a perfect thing.
Yeah. You have brown hair. Yeah. Yeah.
This is what happens when I try to be you.
No,
You have the brown short hair and black.
you say I'm trying to be like Taylor? I'm now curious on the image you put in. That's hilarious. That's so funny.
Now he's covered in tattoos. He does not have.
That is awesome. I've seen already so many good ones, so that's not a most people problem, Jen. I love it. Yeah.
So when going back to this graphics, sorry to.
The graphic. Oh yeah.
She brought it up, but we're already there. If the words are spelling incorrectly, how do we make it write words correctly? Is there a prompt for that?
So it's just getting better. Like here's the reality. When I played with this a year ago,
It never spelled words.
it never spelled words correctly. I even remember I was inviting someone to family reunion and I was joking and I wanted ChatGPT to write me a ticket. I don't remember who I sent it to actually, but I was like, generate a ticket image for me of saying, hey, you're invited to family reunion with their name. And it was like Hebrew or something. And I was like, this is not working. So the thing is, just the way that it's getting better and better, it's so where it's at now is significantly better. There's no perfect way to say, hey, great, like go and edit this. The more you go and have it edit things too many times, currently, I think it makes it worse because it's trying to now, that's where it's like, if you can prompt it the best the first time, then that's going to be where you get the best results because it's like the more you feed it, it's currently not there. Do I think it's going to just keep on getting better? Yes. Is AI basically building itself? Yes. Like, 5 months from now, we're going to be like, man, like this is even cooler. It now texted it to my client or whatever, right? There's going to be even more and more for that, but it's using it now as best as you can in all these different aspects to go from there. And it's not always correct, right, Jim? So funny. Okay, so then I have other ones in here. I have CRM notes. You can afterwards, after I go through and now I've done that, I can grab my CRM note one and I can say, I can take this, I can go back over, and I'm just going to use ChatGPT for this one, and I can say, thanks, right? And then I can do this. Now it's going to go through the same transcript, and it's now going to do a summary for me, so I can put it into my CRM, right? Because for me, that helps me blank, blank, and blank, right? Next part I even have in here is the bonus of it going through and actually ranking how you're doing, right? This is one option. Roland, you sent me an even better one. Where is that one? You emailed it to me. I'll grab that later. But like you can go through and you can copy it and you can say, hey, great, right? How did I do? And it's going to go through and basically read that and say, hey, great, keep doing these. I did that. Okay, now I did that. All right. Okay, future focused thinking. Okay, great. Control the flow more. All right, I didn't control the flow well enough. It says the conversation drifted into long backs and forths, blah, 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 right? Even my own story. Ha! It says, okay, like how can I have it be that more, right? Clarify priorities sooner. How can I could have done that sooner is what it's noticing. It took me a while to get there. Close with firmer comments, right? You did well. However, I could have done step 1 is this, right? Why this matters, stronger flow, clarified priorities, so on and so forth. So ultimately, right, if you are doing this often and having it be where it's like you're always looking at how you did also, I now not only sent an email off that is far superior than me typing in or using something that's a blanket statement, right, of saying, hey, it was great meeting with you yesterday. It has the steps that they're taking. This is why when I sent it off, I got a response back the next day, and they're like, thank you so much for this. We're super excited. You know, we will, and they said what they're doing with the next commitments. Like they reiterated that they are doing that and going in that way. This also then gives me the chance now to look back and say, okay, how can I improve by that much, right? This next time that I go out and do it, how can I be 1% better at my appointment, right? This worked great. I got the buyer, like all of that happened. So it's not like, oh, I failed. At the same time, always looking at what's that next way that I can get better little things in that form.
Real quick, do you mind going back to the image that you created?
What one?
Any one of them, like the comic strip.
Okay, we're gonna go to this one.
Yeah, so then click on the picture. Now, see up in the top right, there's like a little edit button, that right there.
Yeah.
So you can actually highlight a section. Let's say you like the entire picture, but you wanted to change one piece of it. You can use that to select that image, whatever section you want to change. So like, yeah, let's say the tattoo, you don't want it. Yeah. And then you can go down and say remove tattoo.
Needs to be a dragon.
There we go. Yeah, so that way it'll keep the entire image the same except for that section that you want to use.
How'd you get this?
So he clicked on it, and then on the top right, there was like a magic edit button. That's the thing. It keeps on getting better. I didn't even know about that. So thank you, Roland. Like, so pretty interesting. And for 99% of you, this will work so well. Okay, questions on the appointment one? I understand. Okay, so that's one of the reasons why I have this, so you can go and use the prompts later and work on them, right? Like this is something that I want you to implement, use, so that you're even more ahead rather than behind, right? This is all changing very fast. Nate? Yeah.
So when you type in stuff that you would use on a day-to-day, you know, when you're putting in listing marketing info or whatever for a 3-bed 2-bath, you've got something written out. Do you save that in your
I don't. I save it in Notion.
so you always
So-
have Notion pulled up at the same time, and you go into Notion,
I go-
down to your
Yep, I go to my script
Okay.
library,
pull it.
a prompt library, right? And I click it, copy it, and I put it in.
So everything you have, you just keep in Notion.
You can go through and you can create GBTs. The thing is, there's a lot of things that it's like, if you want to, you can do that, right? So that's these right here. So like conversation mastery, prompt engineer, you can go in and you can create those with those prompts and save them. The thing is, I use so many. That's where it's like, if I go to my prompt library, so if I go to my chat prompts, like it's just an ongoing list that I continue to add to in that way, right? So it's kind of saying, great, what ones do I continue to have? Like I personally have my recruiting appointment one in here, right? For the brokerage, I have so on and so forth. So I'm always going in there because this for me, when I open it up, and I can then just go and copy this and put it in, right? That's the exact one that you guys now have in your little box that I just shared with you. Yeah.
You can go into like the comic strip, if that's something you're doing for clothing, and then keep that saved and then go in and say, please make a new comic strip with these photos, and it will just.
You could. I would. So the problem is the more you go back into that same one, sometimes it's going to get confused with old photos. So I would start a new chat with the new prompt for certain things. There are certain ones, if it's an ongoing project and I'm like working on something or having a conversation and kind of going through that, correct. And you can then that might work. If it's the same image, then you could probably do it where, hey, change that name, right? Kind of a concept, and that probably would work in that way. I mean, now it's generating. We'll see. So, and that's thing is that tool, that little highlighting tool that Roland just showed us, is a new piece that I never used, right? I've usually now just made a new one because I realized that if I didn't go back and do something in a certain way, then it would be like it would get jumbled up with information. So that's that process. Yeah. But yeah, does that answer your question, Nate? So I don't keep anything in here. One of the things that I've seen Shoney do really well is he went through and for his listing, he has it go through and have all the prompts and it walks him in order when he gets a new listing. So he does every step. So the first thing is the prompt about, okay, you got the listing and now it's, or it's like he starts actually at the listing appointment and it goes through and gets him certain information. And then it's like, hey, this is the next step. Then he'll go back to that one later when he has the transcript. So you can do that and build it where it's like a machine in that way. That is so good. It's accurate.
Yeah, it is. That's the dragon.
So here's the thing. Would I still have fun sending that? Yes. Right? I mean, ultimately it's like, okay, like, right? It's the whole thing is about building the relationships. I would still totally send that to Roland, right? Like, because it would be like, hey, and I think ChatGPT also got your tattoo correct, right? And I would turn it into a little bit of a joke or whatever, right? So that's where this kind of comes in. How do you continue to do that? We'll have to do more stuff about, that's where I'm curious, if you listen to a lot of what Shoney does, he dives into more GPTs and building your own and things like that. But I wanted to start at this level of saying, go through the process, create your prompt. If it's something you use more than once, save it somewhere. Have a library where you have those prompts. One of the things that I did, if I go back and I can show you, was it this one? So I went through and I built this whole one using ChatGPT. This is the first draft, right? I then had to go through and I was like, all right, well, I want to change it. Help me make the prompt. After I got it where I wanted, I then had it make me my official one that I copied and pasted. Like I was like, hey, this is the result that I was looking for. What would I have told you at the start as a prompt in order to have made that happen? And then I use that now for all my new ones.
Can you show us how to save it for us, maybe, how to save that as a chat or as a GPT? It just saves it?
No, so
Would
so if you did want to do it as a GPT, you would go in the little corner and you'd hit GPT,
So,
and then it pulls up a little panel. Yes.
no, not here.
Yeah,
Sorry. Here,
GPTs.
custom GPTs. And then I can go, that's how I can customize it.
Yeah, if you hit that one.
I can click on this. Sorry.
Yeah,
This right here is I can customize my chat. So I have it where it knows me, right? If I go into chat GPTs over here, then I can do create or I can go to mine, right? Like I even deleted a lot of mine that I've created because I was like, oh, it wasn't a spot or process that I needed enough. So I deleted it. But if I go in here, that's where I can now create a full new GPT and then I can go through that process. I can add files, I can do all of that.
Yeah.
So if you want to make it really in depth, then that's the way you do it so that every time you go to that GPT, it knows the whole process and you're done.
Yeah, and you paste your prompt where it says instructions, and
Correct.
that's, yep. And then anytime you go to that side panel, let's say, buyer consultation review, then it'll just be a bot made for that.
Yeah, projects are similar. Yeah, so honestly, if it's like, so projects are the same. So if I do a new project, the thing is this right here is going to create it. So if I go, and I can show you my ultimate book summarizer. Oh, man. So I can go in here and I've already made this one and I gave it a file that had all of the instructions. So I can go in here and I can type in a book and it follows the instructions and does that. So there are certain use case scenarios if you're like, hey, this is something I do often enough. And then there's also like, that's why I didn't go through and create one for everything. It was just ones that I do certain ways. I honestly really like the copy and paste because then I can go edit it if I knew something specific I wanted to change instead of doing something a different way. But you have ultimately a lot of options to utilize that in that way. Claude is very similar because if you go into Claude, and this is where you can still go in and you can edit it to be more like you, right? And there's all those aspects of it getting used to you in that way. So, little different. I mean, I would recommend everyone have paid version of ChatGPT because it's like, way smarter than the regular. And kind of going from there. Questions on, I know that we've only gotten through 2. If we don't get through the last one, that's fine. It ultimately, I'll show a little bit.
And I'll make a Loom video how to make a GPT and toss it in the hot link somewhere.
In hot link somewhere. Cool. Okay. So then the other one that I have, if I go back into here, and this is just, okay, so the last one is script practice. Script practice, I've showcased before. You have to have the paid version in order to talk. This right here is what you put in it, and then you have to tell it to start. It will automatically start, but then you turn on the voice. Yeah.
So, yeah, there's different options, like the pro or the big ones, or one that you recommend.
Yes. Let me do this. I'm gonna.
Just the one that's 20 bucks. Other one's like 30.
No. You just do the $20 one. Yeah.
I do on my phone, yeah, it's like integrated with it, so I have, my go-to is usually ChatGPT for everything.
It's just that with our KW, you get the free Gemini, the paid version of Gemini.
Oh, right. Yeah, I haven't used it too much, just like whatever's embedded in the phone, like I summarize through stuff like that.
All right. Come on. I wanted to share my screen so you could see it in 2 spots. I believe it will work because it's worked in the past. Dang it. All right. I'm not getting this part working right now. Okay. So ultimately, when you go to your, oh, there's, now it works. What? That's hilarious. I mean, you guys saw my screen for a second. It's weird. Okay. For some reason, that's not showing the way that it should. But ultimately, when you go to ChatGPT on your phone, if it's the paid version, when you go into a new chat, on the bottom right is the 3 little lines in a circle. That one brings up the chat. So then I can click on it, and that's where then afterwards you would talk with it. Huh, Chad?
Absolutely. I'm here.
Okay.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. I'll keep things straightforward and conversational. So here's the plan. I'll use short sentences, lots of line breaks, and a friendly, confident tone. Almost like a trusted coach chatting with you. If we need to break things down into bullet points or clear steps, just say the word. And of course, feel free to ask any clarifying questions along the way.
So ultimately, going through that process and just practicing role playing, using it as your script partner, your coach, and that way is great. And I like if you use the prompt in the fans, you could also just say, "Hey, I'm a real estate agent. I want you to be the buyer," and you could just very much tell it what you're going to do, right? The other thing that is really cool is you can actually go in and show it. So let me show this part. I can't show it, but I'm going to. So if I go click the camera, hey, Chad, where am I at right now?
Hey, so from what I can see, it looks like you're in a classroom or maybe a training room with a bunch of folks at tables. There's a presentation going on at the front of the room. So yeah, definitely looks like you're in a meeting or a workshop setting.
Yeah, so from what you can see, what if I zoom in right here onto if I look at the screen, what are we talking about?
Yeah, so it looks like the screen up front has some kind of detailed chart or maybe a spreadsheet open. My guess is you're all going over some numbers or a business model, something like that. It
Not
definitely
too
has
far
that.
back, right? Sorry, I was too far away. Can you see it now?
Yeah, that's much clearer now. I can see you've got a prompt on the screen about a buyer appointment role play simulator. Looks like you're walking through some steps on building rapport and guiding a client through a buyer consultation. So basically, it seems like a training session on handling buyer appointments.
So if you think there's privacy,
Well, and that's one of the ones that you can share, right? So that was kind of the last one but I wanted you to say, hey, great, how do you practice and do that? How do you utilize it? One of the recent appointments that I had, we were chatting and they knew that, they knew that I already used a whole bunch of AI. It was at the end of the listing appointment. I said, hey, I always, of course, do a couple of videos just to kind of make sure I have things moving. And then I turned on ChatGPT, had it where it was a conversation, and started diving into it. And I said, hey, and they're all listening to it. And I'm like, hey, Chad, that's what I call mine, right? Hey, I'm right now at this house. We just finished up the listing appointment. I wanted to show you the house so you can help me not make sure I didn't miss anything with my listing description. So, I'm going to walk around the house, talk to you, point some things out. You tell me, if I missed anything, and then afterwards we'll build that listing description from it. Walked the house, showed the whole house off, back in front of the clients, because of course there's a little bit of showing off, right? And then I was like, all right, hey, thanks for walking through the house with me, Chad. Hey, what would you use for the listing description in this one? And it went through and just nailed it. It was like, hey, well, you should talk about this, this, and this. You see it throughout the house. And it's now saying it out loud. And the three that were there, right? The son who was like 16 years old, and other people were like jaws dropped open, and they're like, wow, kind of an aspect, right? So again, all of this is very much for how and what are you using, get creative, and think of other use case scenarios, right? These ones are easy. I made them ideally so you could just copy and paste to kind of move forward. Oh, look, now it's pulling it up. Of course, now it's closed. That's hilarious. These 4 lines at the bottom. That's how you talk with it when it's a paid version. But that's kind of it. So go use it. Let's keep on communicating, showing what we're doing, because ultimately the more we continue to collaborate like we do and showing what we're doing and continuing to improve, we're going to find stuff that just makes it that much better, like adding a dragon, right? So let's go keep on pushing it. Appreciate you guys. So.